Piano Man, Uptown Girl, We Didn't Start the Fire, New York State of Mind, The Longest Time. Honestly, I could just stand here the entire video and rattle off Billy Joel songs that have sunk their teeth into our culture. Over the course of about 10 years, the man wrote more hit songs than you would possibly believe, and you probably know more of them than you would think. Let's talk about it. What's up guys, my name is Konner and welcome to the Songwriter Sanctuary. If you like what you find here, I humbly request that you take a second to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Your support goes a tremendously long way. So today we're going to be talking about Billy Joel. Billy Joel is an American singer, songwriter, pianist, poet. His list of accolades and titles goes on. And if you're here, he probably needs no introduction. He's a genius for many, many reasons. His profound lyricism, his melody writing, his ability to capture important cultural moments in song form. But arguably one of his greatest strengths is his ability to use unique and complex chord progressions in really innovative and sleek ways. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take 3 of the most iconic Billy Joel chord progressions and we're just going to pick apart what they are and why they work so well. And if you stick around till the end, the third one on the list is easily Billy Joel's most famous chord progression and possibly one of the most famous piano chord progressions, period. I'm probably gonna do more Billy Joel videos in the future because, let's be honest, 3 chord progressions is not nearly enough. However, I promise you for a single short video, these 3 will be plenty to digest. So let's get into it. So the first chord progression we're gonna look at is from the song Uptown Girl. So this song is kind of interesting to analyze because depending on how you look at it, it has sections in arguably 4 different keys. There's pieces of it in the key of E, the key of C, the key of A, and the key of D. So the specific chord progression we're going to examine is at the end of the verse, chorus? It's hard to really get a read on which section is which in this song. Anyways, it's this part in the key of A. So the chord progression here goes 1, 6 minor, 2 minor 7, and 2 dominant 7 over sharp 4, and then it concludes with either the 5 or the 1 in a different key, depending on how you look at it. So the first 3 chords aren't that crazy. 1, 6 minor, 2 minor 7, that's pretty standard diatonic stuff. The real magic of this is the 2 dominant 7 chord that drives you to the 5. In this case, it's a B7 that takes you to E. Now the thing about it is when Billy Joel lands on that E chord, it becomes the tonic of the new key, so we're moving to the key of E. It's a really sleek way to just pivot the key of your song 1 notch around the circle of fifths. Additionally, he's playing that 2 dominant chord over a sharp 4, in this case, D sharp. Now this helps really drive that movement because the B dominant chord already wants to go to E, but when you have that D sharp in there, that is begging to resolve that half step up to an E. So the next progression we're gonna look at is from She's Always a Woman, and this is kind of a 2-for-1 deal. So we're gonna talk about how it gets in and out of the second half of the chorus. So this song is an E flat, but the second half of the chorus transposes to D flat. Moving down a whole step in the middle of a chorus is not only tricky to do, it's risky. You're lowering the key and you risk losing energy if you don't do it the right way. So the way that Billy Joel pivots into the second half of the chorus is he ends the first half with a 1 chord, an E flat major chord. Immediately he turns it into a minor chord. So he moves from E flat major to E flat minor, which is bold. You don't often see people moving from the same major chord to the same minor chord. But in this case, he does it and it works, and he uses it as the 2 minor chord in the key of D flat. So now we've gone from a 1 major to the same minor chord, and now it's our 2 chord. And then he does a very simple standard 2, 5, 1 progression to get you to the tonic in the key of D flat. That all looks like this. Okay, so now let's talk about how he gets back to the verse. She just changes her mind. We'll start with the flat 7 chord. This is one of my favorite chords in music. It's very Disney, theatrical, I love this chord. So he goes to the flat 7 chord, in this case B major, and then what happens next is really interesting. He goes to a sharp 5 diminished chord, which takes him to a 6 dominant chord. So we've got flat 7 major, B major, sharp 5 diminished, that's A diminished, and then 6 dominant, which is B flat dominant 7. And that B flat dominant 7 is the 5 dominant chord in the key of, you guessed it, E flat. If you're not really familiar with dominant chords or how they work, the short story is that they really like to act as the 5 of whatever chord they're going to next. So in this case, because B flat dominant is the 5 in the key of E flat, it drives us really nicely to E flat, and that whole progression sounds like this. Just call the guy a master of modulation. Now, I won't get too into the theory here, but the basic idea is that you can use the diminished chord a half step down from a dominant chord to pivot to that dominant chord. So here's an example in the key of C. I'm gonna go from a 4 to a sharp 4 diminished to a 5 dominant that'll take me back to 1. All right, finally, the third chord progression we're gonna look at is, you probably guessed it, the Piano Man chord progression. We're gonna look at the first half of the verse, which has this very quick string of chords.
Son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes.
It goes 1, 5, 4, 1, 4, 1, dominant 2, 5. Now, yes, that's a lot of chords in very quick succession, but they're not super complicated. They're mostly basic diatonic major chords. The one exception, of course, is the 2 dominant, but we've already talked about how dominant chords like to act as the 5 of whatever chord they're going to. This song is in the key of C, so our 2 dominant's gonna be a D dominant 7. D is the 5 in the key of G, so that D dominant drives us really nicely to the 5 chord, which takes us home to the 1 chord again. So at first glance, it's like, what is special about this chord progression? The real magic is in the root notes and the inversions. So the bass line of these chords walks down 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, jumps up to 5, and then resolves back at 1. And that's what's catchy about this chord progression. The chords are really just a vessel for that bass line to walk all the way down. So our takeaway here as songwriters is that we can use inversions of chords to drive the bass line movement in a really smooth stepwise way. I'll give you another example. For this one, we'll use the progression 6, 1, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Without a steady bass line, it looks like this. Not bad, it's just kind of all over the place. But check this out. What I can do with this progression is I can just put it over a descending natural minor scale. So here's what a descending A minor scale looks like. And then here's that chord progression over the top of those notes. Same concept as the verse movement in Piano Man, just a different set of chords to experiment with. So hopefully you find something in this video useful. This video is particularly theory heavy, more so than most of my videos. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them as well as I can. And if there's a Billy Joel chord progression you really like that I didn't cover, let me know that down below as well. That's all we got today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.